So the Bucks just got eliminated in the playoffs by the Pacers in pretty dramatic fashion. If you watch the game, Tyrese hits the game winner. Pretty crazy game, but overall the series wasn't great. In my opinion, the Bucks' future is seriously in jeopardy right now with an older roster, Dame getting hurt, which just that really sucks, like so bad for the league and sad to see. And then Giannis is getting older. I don't think this team can really compete anymore at this point, and so they're going to have to make some serious choices this offseason. And I'm going to try and make some trade ideas for Giannis and Dame in this video. Before we go over trade ideas, I kind of want to look at their recent playoff success or lack thereof. It hasn't been great recently. They've lost to the Pacers back-to-back years now, and they've never gotten past the first round the past 3 years. And quite honestly, it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. So some serious decisions need to be made this offseason. I want to say this Heat year was the first year they had Dame. Maybe it was this, but I think it was the Heat year. And yeah, it just injuries. It hasn't gone great. And if you're a Bucks fan, you gotta wonder what this offseason looks like. Another thing I want to look at is how their first round picks are being dealt out. And to be honest, it's not great for their future draft capital. They're gonna lose theirs next year, and then after that, their picks get a little complicated. As you can see, a lot of reading to do, but we'll just say the future isn't looking great in terms of their draft pick. So I don't think I necessarily want them to bottom out, but I think they should switch to a younger core, and that's what I'm going to try to do through these trades while accumulating first round picks as well, so you can just secure a future. And honestly, just because you trade two players like Giannis or Dame, that doesn't mean you have to bottom out completely and be tanking. I think you can get some quality players that are still young, and you can grow with them and build teams around them that can compete in the future. The first Giannis team I want to talk about is the Rockets, and I think this is a pretty obvious landing spot if you've paid attention to the news around the Rockets throughout the past couple years. They want to improve quick. They want to be in the market for a superstar, try and get a superstar. And yeah, with how this series is going between the Rockets and Warriors, they need to evaluate some of their young pieces like Jalen Green, who hasn't been great. And I think adding Giannis to this team, I think I'm going to try and keep Sengun, but I think Jalen Green, while he hasn't been great these playoffs, I think he still has his value, and a lot of it, to be honest. I think Reed Shepherd has value. I'd imagine the Bucks are going to be adamant about getting Amen Thompson, but I bet if I'm the Rockets, I think Amen's completely untouchable. Like, I'm not trading him. Keeping on this team, he's already one of the best defenders in the league, and he's an insane athlete. If you can get that jump shot or just a better offensive game, you're golden. You have a star right there. I'm going to throw Tyrese into the Bucks as well. Right here, you're getting three really solid young players. And Reed Shepherd, I know he hasn't shown a ton, but when he plays, he's been good. I'd imagine the Rockets would want to keep Jabari Smith Jr. as he's been really productive recently. I'm really high on him. I think as a defender and a shot maker, he's really, really good. And then we're just going to throw some first round picks. I'm going to say, like, I'm trying to find good ones. Like, Phoenix picks are going to be very valuable to them, well, to any team. And then Dallas pick and Phoenix pick would be pretty valuable. And then just throwing in, I don't know, a Brooklyn pick as well. I think that's a swap, and this should go through if I'm not mistaken, unless the salaries. Yeah, there you go. I think this is a pretty realistic trade. I think you could see this get explored in the offseason. I'm kind of basing this off the Kevin Durant trade for Giannis, as that's kind of the closest caliber of player that's been traded recently. But if you're the Bucks, I don't think you completely bottom out with this trade. You're getting three players who could be rotational players in the NBA right now. Two of them are. Reed Shepherd certainly has the potential to be. And then you get 4 first-round picks, and these 4 first-round picks are very valuable. And if you're the Rockets, you can roll out a lineup of something like Sengun, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson, and Giannis. And I get the spacing on that team isn't great, but the Rockets and Ime Udoka have shown they're willing to kind of throw unconventional lineups out there that don't have great shooting. So I think this makes a lot of sense for both teams. Another team I'd expect to have some level of interest is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and this is assuming they don't win the championship or make it to the championship this year. I think if they don't make it this year, then they seriously evaluate their team and consider moving some of their core guys and try and figure out what this team looks like going forward. They have a lot of depth, which I think seriously helps them in a Giannis trade. They can give up some of their top guys in a trade like this. And I think Giannis to the Cavs, once again, this is just assuming, they don't go on a run, they don't make the championship. And then I'm going to throw Jared Allen, and I'm going to say Darius Garland, because I think if you're evaluating post, like, this doesn't work, you've had 2 years of Donovan and Garland. Yeah, 2 or 3. I think 3, actually. But regardless, it doesn't matter. You've seen it hasn't gone well in the playoffs, and you haven't had much success. So I think you try and move Garland or Mitchell, and I'd imagine they'd prefer to move Garland just because they traded for Donovan, and you kind of want that trade to look good. But maybe they'd flip Donovan. I don't know. This is just me guessing. Then honestly, I'd probably just throw Cavs don't have their first round pick. I don't even know if they'd have to. I think this is pretty good value as is. We're just gonna throw a first round pick, just cause. And then yeah, this works financially wise. I think this makes a lot of sense for both teams. To be honest, you can roll lineup next year if you're the Cavs of Mitchell at the point guard. Then you can go DeAndre Hunter, Max Strus, Giannis, and Evan Mobley. And defensively, that team's really good. It's really switchable. And I know Donovan is kind of questionable on whether he's a point guard or if he's a shooting guard, but Giannis has shown he can be that type of point forward that really gets his teammates the ball. So for me, I think this makes a lot of sense. If you're the Bucks, you don't completely bottom out either. You're adding 2. I guess Jared Allen isn't really a young piece at this point, but you could flip Jared Allen or keep him going forward. You could still compete with the team you have, adding these 2 guys, and you don't completely bottom out. You can have Darius Garland, who projects to be an all-star for the next however long, 6 years, and you're really happy about that. I actually really like this. Once again, assuming the Cavs don't make it to the finals, I think this is something that gets explored. The final team I think could show some interest is the Thunder. Once again, this is assuming things don't go great for them in these playoffs and they don't make it to the finals even. That's kind of the threshold, I think, for teams. If you make it to the finals, you should definitely not trade your top guys. But if you're a 1 seed or even a 2 seed and you were expecting to make the finals and don't make it, you should consider it at least. Not saying you should or shouldn't, but you should think about it. So I'm going to go with Giannis to the Thunder. The question is, do you throw Chet or do you throw Jalen Williams to them? And it's a really tough decision because I don't think the Bucks do this trade without one of them. These are obviously 2 phenomenal young pieces going forward, and you want to hold both of them. But a player of Giannis's caliber, Giannis is in his prime. You got 3 or 4 more years of him being good, probably, maybe even longer. Just how medicine and sports training is going, longevity is increasing. So you got to consider you're getting him for a long time. And just what I think they'd probably rather trade Jalen Williams. And it obviously sucks if you're a Thunder fan to trade away a player like that. Then we're going to go Lou Dort to the... I'm trying to get the financials to match at this point. Lou Dort to the Bucks, and we're going to throw Nikola Topic, which isn't that big of a loss for the Thunder. Not that Topic is bad, but they've been great this year without him. And if you look at their depth at the guard position, you have A.J. Mitchell and Cason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe, who are all great. And you kind of feel good about that going forward. And just curious if the financials match here. Yeah, okay, they do. And I'm gonna assume that they would want a few picks in this trade. I don't think it has to be anything crazy. Let's just say Miami's pick and then an unprotected Thunder pick going forward. Nothing crazy in terms of pick value, but if you're the Bucks, you really get... This is a retooling move, and you get a lot younger. You have Topic, who has a lot of value. Jalen Williams has shown he's a really good player, and then Lou Dort has been a good player for a while, and Isaiah Hartenstein's just there to get the money. Imagine you can trade him if there's a suitor for him, and then you get picks. And if you're the Thunder, you roll out a lineup of something like Shea, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Chet Holmgren, and Giannis, and there's you can switch some things around in there. Obviously, AJ Mitchell could be in that consideration, but you're getting a lot of talent in return with Giannis. If you're the Bucks, you're getting Jalen Williams, who was an all-star this year, I believe, and I don't know. It's tough to gauge the trade value of Giannis, but I think the Thunder would explore it if things don't go right this year. But Sam Presti has shown he is patient, so I don't know for sure. This is kind of more of a for fun one, but yeah. Now I want to go over some Dame trades, which are a lot harder to draw up than Giannis trades. With the injury, we don't know how long he'll be out for. I think Dame probably should be back for for next year's playoffs, which you hope for. But he's also older at this point, he's getting a bit of an injury history. But a team that would have interest, in my opinion, is the Magic, who desperately need offense and veteran leadership. You don't have to give up a ton at this point. Just, if you're the Bucks, kind of get what you can. So we're going to throw KCP, we're going to throw Cole Anthony, and no, not Tristan da Silva. Let's throw Jet Howard, who I think still has potential. And then probably just a few picks. We'll throw the Magic pick from this year, which is a good pick, and then Phoenix or Washington swap, and let's kind of just see how this goes. I don't know if the financials match here, but yeah, they don't. Let me fix this up. Alright, this works better, and I don't know necessarily with the 1-year deals if this is considering this season or the off season, but we're just going for frameworks here. And if you're the Bucks, you get 2 first-round picks, which you need picks going forward. You get Cole Anthony, who's shown he's a pretty solid young player, and then Jet Howard, who was, I think, the 10th pick, around 10 a few years ago, which you hope he lives up to some of that potential the Magic thought he had. But honestly, I can't gauge Dame's value at this point. It's so tough. He's older. He's gonna be out. I don't know what team's gonna necessarily want him. I think the Magic would be a team that would. And at this point, you're trying to find the teams that would want him. And you're getting some future assets going forward, which you like. And if you're the Magic, you going into the playoffs, you hopefully have Dame back, and you get that lead initiator, assuming there's no regression from Dame, and you can roll Dame, Suggs, Da Silva, Paulo, and Wendell Carter, or Franz instead of Da Silva. Forgot about him for a second, but that's a good lineup, and I think everyone can agree the Magic are just kind of this type of player away from being a legit contender at this point. So if you're the Magic, assuming the Celtics series ends the way it's looking like it will, you got to look at getting some veteran leadership and some offense, and I think Dame is a good place to get that, as I don't think the price is going to be that expensive at this point, but you're not giving up nothing as well. You got to give up something, and I think this makes some sense for both sides. Now, it's really tough to find another team for Dame. I think the Magic definitely make the most sense for me, and maybe this is me just being a biased Jazz fan, but I think there could be some level of interest. The Jazz showed interest a few years ago when he was made available, and the Bucks traded for him. But if you think about it for the Jazz, they're going to tank this year, and let's assume they get Cooper Flag. Just assuming best case scenario. Get Cooper Flag, you roll into next year, and you tank this next year. You get AJ, you get Darren Peterson, you get Boozer. You get one of those guys. Let's assume Dame also misses all of next year, because why not? I don't think the Jazz would rush his comeback. And then you can roll out that 2027 season with Dame. You can have Dame, DeBonsta, Flag, Lowry, and Kessler, something along those lines. That's obviously if things go very right. And I think the Jazz would show some interest in being able to sit Dame for a year and help mentor the young guys, and then be able to have him that next year and be like their lead guy. Maybe not the superstar of the team, but be kind of the veteran that puts them forward. And it's tough. I think Cody Williams, I know he hasn't had a great rookie year, but I think he'd go over. Bryce Sensabaugh, who's been good, I think he'd go over. Then making the money match, it's tough just because, like I said, I don't know how Fanspo has their thing set, if this is for the off season or for right now, but I'm just gonna assume it's for right now. Once again, we're just doing frameworks for trades, and I think Colin Sexton, I think they'd be okay giving up him in a Dame trade, and then let's just assume they give up some of these Minnesota, Cleveland picks, and financially, I'm not sure this works. Yeah, I doubt it will. I'll fix that. Alright, just adding John Collins gets the financials to work, which would, I believe, have to be a sign and trade, but I don't know. I'm just rowing with the oars I have right now. And I think if you're the Jazz, I already kind of explained that, but if you're the Bucks, you get 2 young players in Cody Williams and Bryce Sensabaugh who have shown, Bryce has shown a lot of potential. I think Cody Williams, it's not over for him yet. I know some people have said he's the worst NBA player, which in my opinion is quite crazy. He obviously had a rough rookie year, but I think if you watched him, you saw the potential on defense. He instinctually was good defensively. I think the biggest thing with him is going to be putting on weight. Then Colin Sexton and John Collins, you could both flip for other assets, and you get 2 players that could be good role players for you going forward, and 2 first-round picks. And like I said earlier, at this point I think it's kind of just, you got to find the teams that want Dame. I doubt there's going to be that many, but I think you find the teams that want Dame and you try and get the best deal you can. And I think the Jazz wouldn't want to give up more than this. And that's what I came up with. Let me know down below any trades you want to see, any trades you think could happen. It's really tough at this point, especially with Dame. It's just such a tough situation that you really hate to see. And then Giannis, we don't really see players as good as Giannis get traded, so it's hard to gauge the value. Let me know if you thought I did good in the comments drawing up these trades. It's tough, you know. If you're gonna roast me in the comments, I'd like to hear you come up with some trades as well. Just, you know, realize it's harder than it looks. But let me know what you thought. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. I hope your teams do well in the playoffs. I don't have a dog in the fight, so I hope whoever's watching your team does well in the playoffs. And yeah, see ya.